Oh, okay. Recording in progress, more like magic in progress. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. I'm so fired up today because we have our very own Jamie London Wahlberg, woo, in the house, ready to open the kimono, so to speak, and let us into his world to understand his own personal spiritual practices and also to hear about his story. Um, so I'm really, really excited for this, Jamie. I want to just, see if I can get you blushing here for a second. No, I'm just going to shower you with a bit of love because you shower everyone with so much love. And I think I'm probably going to say the word love a lot today. So that's awesome. That always makes for a good day. And thank you for, all the love that you've brought to my life and to all of our lives. I would say you are like the love generator of In Spirit. You're just out there like sharing, courageously, like celebrating everyone, holding space for everyone, and that's so beautiful to witness. Yeah, and I'm sure everyone else would probably say the same. So yeah, I just want to commend you for that. Thank you for that from the bottom of my heart, for your love and for your courage and for your leadership. Um, and you're definitely, I think, at the top of the charts in terms of our leaderboard and stuff like that. So that's dope. I got to shout that out. And then in terms of introducing you professionally, so you've done quite a lot of very interesting creative things in your career as an entrepreneur. You've done work with cannabis, you've done some work for the trans community before, but you really landed on this, title for yourself as leader of love, which I love, unintended. And I think that's really awesome. And you are the founder of Wake In. So we'll get you to explain your philosophy on that, but I know it, and it's to wake into love, which I think is a really cool way to kind of frame it and look at it. And you're helping to hold space for people to create a nourishing space, I think is the way that you describe it, for other leaders of love and their families so that they don't have to suffer from burnout and they can stay out of that. And I really do see you as like a master teacher of unconditional love. So I'll say that word again, love, 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 love. All right. So I'm going to flip it across to you just to introduce yourself and let us know, who you are in your own words and how you're serving the world, what you're creating in the world. And then we'll dive in and we'll flow from there.
Sure. Thank you. Namaste, everyone. Jake, that like really, I feel so hot. I'm like, I was already activated and filled with love, but I'm just brimming over now. It's as I said to Jake at the very beginning when I joined In Spirit, I manifested this. I didn't want to create a space like this. I wanted to co-create a space like this. I wanted to step into a community of conscious leaders who love what they do and love what they provide and love life and are figuring it all out. And we get to figure it all out together. So, yes, I am Jamie London Wahlberg, but really I am a soul like you, part of our collective in this human experience. And it is a complete magical miracle that we're all here right now. Kudos to all of us for choosing on a soul level to be here, because that's truly what I feel that it is. A leader of love is very simply someone who is in some form of leadership within their life, personally and professionally, in order to better themselves and the collective, the world, anything that exists. It comes from a spiritual view and perspective because that is my journey, but it can mean whatever it means to anybody else. And yes, families are factored in because I want to bridge this generational gap and also this intimacy gap that continues to happen from leaders within those who they love who are not necessarily in their professional world, because we get deep into our passion and to our purpose and we can sometimes lose sight of everything else, and that creates the burnout, and it stems from our unconditional love from ourselves. And I have figured all of this out because of the wild journey that I have taken in this lifetime, specifically that has brought me into what I refer to as my tri awakening. And this was before I started to really wake in, which is what I realized that I was doing from the get go. And that came from a medical awakening experience, a spiritual awakening experience, and an identity awakening experience when I was completely bedridden, virtually incapacitated in my early 20s. In my mind, and my heart, I lost virtually everything that mattered to me: the love of my life, the kid I thought I was adopting, the life that I was building myself, my ability to be me, which from a super little Jamie young age, it was known to adults. They've reflected this back to me over years that I was here to help. I always wanted to help. I always had this connection. I would sit next to my mom on a park bench, and like someone who would be 4 times my age would come and sit down. Instead of talking to my mom, would just start telling me their life story. I always had this ability to connect, which I was ironic because I always felt disconnected. So the identity piece was that I was assigned female at birth, and I lived as a woman for about 24, 25 years. And in that space and time of losing all of those things, started to gain who I was. So that was the balance of the universe, was not having an awareness that there were so many better things for me, that my authentic self wanted to come out. And I was really stifling myself throughout this journey. So I released and shed everything, but this was painful. I didn't have spiritual guidance. I didn't really understand how to come out as trans. I didn't really understand the layers and levels of that. And I was in 10 out of 10 pain, totally bedridden initially for 9.5, 10 months. And it was as if I went back to being a fetus. It was like being this close to having everything I thought I wanted to having nothing. And I was suicidal. I was lost. I didn't understand from a practical standpoint how I could help people and serve my purpose if I was bedridden and could barely open my eyes. I mean, I needed help to get to the restroom. This is the level of quality of support that I was requiring at that time. And that journey was on and off for, 8 years at its peak. And thankfully it's gotten much better. I'm New York born and raised, but in this journey, I managed to take myself from a 3D sense from New York to LA and back again. And through realizing who I was and starting to transition through, diving into my medical sphere and having nothing to do but time to think and experience in the most present moment, um, to my spiritual awakening that I found within my desperation for life, for survival, for a willingness to live. I prayed for my first time. I connected to spirit somehow for my first time. And literally, in a moment, everything changed. And nothing could ever be the same from that moment. And I decided in that precise moment that I didn't want to die, that I was determined to live. And I was going to spend the rest of my life finding a way to reclaim my life and then be able to pay that forward to help others. And I have maintained that integrity. And that is probably the thing that I'm most proud of. And it took a while to figure out that the unconditional love was the piece that I was missing. And it took even longer than that to realize that no one is missing this piece, that we've just forgotten it. And recently, I've realized that I was just burning out over and over again. I was burning out because I was workaholic. I was burning out because I was too focused on my spiritual journey. I was burning out because of my health journey. I was burning out because of my transition. I was burning out because of my creative space. You name it, there's many categories of ways that you can burn out. I've done them all to my knowledge of what's there. And through this purpose and this experience, I have cultivated the realization that unconditional love is everything. It is the peak of what matters. It is neutrality. It is the life force that exists within all of us. And when we cultivate this unconditional love for ourselves, we can then love anyone and everything that is all us unconditionally. And it allows us to thrive, to be able to be authentic, to be able to provide and service and be and experience whatever it is that we desire. And anything becomes possible. And I will spend the rest of my life mentoring and and providing healing and love and support to leaders of love and their families to make sure that this is what happens to the best of my ability. Because I believe that somewhere deep inside, we want this because we all want to be loved. We all want to be seen. We all want to be valued. And we all want to feel at home.
I just got so much chills. So we should add orator, to your list of titles as well, Jamie. Um, okay, so the note you ended on there, right? This notion of everyone wanting to be seen, accepted, right, loved for who they are. That's really the premise that In Spirit's based on. And so it makes so much sense that like you've emerged as just this like, leader of love generator inside In Spirit, because a lot of us, our inner child or the inner cobbles of our heart, our soul, however we'd like to refer to this, has this very spiritual side. And then we've gone out and, confronted the external world. And a lot of us are quite ambitious, right? That's why we found each other on LinkedIn. Like just being on LinkedIn means that we sort of care more than the average person about, our career and, the way we're serving the world and what we're creating and that sort of thing, right? And there seems to be this, wound in that world, right? Where a lot of us like didn't feel safe, sharing ourselves fully in terms of who we are, our spirituality specifically in this case, right? So I love how it all just sort of clicks together. What was going through my mind is like, in order to do transformational work, you have to undergo a process of transformation. And the way you've described yours, I mean, I'm learning more and more about your journey. And you went through a very deep, deep process of transformation, right? Like we could say a intense, we could say an extreme, one, right? And so now you've emerged, so extremely, loving, right? And so it's all sort of calibrated in that way, right? Which is really, really interesting. Let's dive into, you know, oh, and the other thing is burnout, right? So burnout was a major theme in what you're saying. And it sounds like what you're telling us is that burnout occurs when we, search for love outside of ourselves in any capacity. And when we, get carried away by that and invest too much energy in that search, it you know, it's only gonna, there's nowhere it can go other than being unsustainable in some way. And we need to come back to providing ourselves that love. And that's really the only love that exists, is actually our own unconditional love that generates from our heart and is shared out, right? We can't find it really anywhere else, right? Um, so that's beautiful. So thank you for articulating so well. Let's dive into let's dive into your personal spiritual practice. So that's really, really interesting. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's get practical for folks. So um, you know, what does a normal day look like for you in terms of, you've got other things going on, work, um, meeting friends, whatever you're up to, what does your spiritual practice look like? Are there any rituals that, are like go-tos for you or anchors?
Oh yeah. I could I could get very deep here. There are a couple of key things before I even dive into that I feel very, very strongly needed to come through today because they are the gems of wisdom that have changed everything for me about practices and rituals and routines, because I do have a routine. I have a routine in the rising that is usually 2 hours, sometimes more, and I'll explain why, sometimes less. And then I have about a 30-minute to an hour routine in the evening, and I do whatever maintenance throughout. The first thing is that once, and I imagine anybody who has thought through these various things and had a journey with health that's been very serious, um, there's nothing more human than realizing your mortality. The limitless nature and experiencing that in a human vessel is an experience, and there are repercussions if you do not take care of it. And so that is first and foremost what is happening every single day. And at the end of every single day, there's no option outside of the option that I choose for myself, which is that unconditional love for myself. When I do not do this, I cannot be this person that everyone and myself desire for me to be. It is not possible. And it is so unbelievably noticeable. And the people who connect with me regularly and know this, they can tell. I know that they can tell that something is off, and it's that I haven't gotten to do my routine. Now, my routine is the way that it is because one day my dad told me that his agents at the company, he's in real estate, were spending approximately anywhere between half hour to 2 hours traveling to work or getting ready for their business day. And whatever happened in that amount of time would dictate their behavior, their mood, and how they would be the rest of the day. And that was life altering for me to hear that. I was like, whoa, okay. So, therefore, what's most important is before I do anything for anyone else, my 2 hours are mine. I mean, I have two fur children, so I also tend to them technically first. But after that, after that, it's really about me. And that's, like I said, it's non-negotiable because I've seen the ramifications. I've seen the laws of the universe and how they play out when I do not provide this to myself. So that's where the 2 hours came from. Now, there is things like physical weather, and there are things like travel, and there are things like emergencies, in which case I have an emergency routine. And I have a routine that I do when I travel, and I have a routine that I do that's weather dependent, that changes because I like to add nature into my routine. My routine is based on what is going to bring all of my bodies into alignment. When I say bodies, I'm talking about the physical body, this meat suit. I'm talking about the mental body, anything I'm thinking and I'm processing. I'm talking about my emotional body, anything that I feel and experience emotionally. And I'm talking about my spiritual body, which to me is everything is the spiritual body, but everything else. And so, me having my self love audit, which is a process that I channeled and some of you have experienced, brings you into an awareness of your strengths and where you're not as strong and where you could need more support within those bodies. And so I took that and my goals of my own self audit, and that's how I built my routine. Now, I literally wrote down everything that I do because there otherwise would be an hour of me trying to remember it. But this is almost everything that happens in my routine outside of like maybe 2% of things that are deeply personal to me. And what I want to speak to that is your routine is for you, no one else. So there are moments of your routine that are private. Maybe your whole routine feels private and you never tell anybody. I have never, ever told anybody, my entire routine, except for right now that I'm telling you. This is the most that I've ever shared about my process and my progress. And without this, I would not be who I am and I could not serve as powerfully and I would burn out over and over and over again. And the thing about routines also is that I feel that we've been programmed to believe that routines are these things that we need to do, of these practical things that must need to get done before we go to do all the other things. And I challenge you with unconditional love to consider a different perspective, which is that routines are actually the time that you put on your calendar, that you put into yourself for you, of the things that you love, the things that light you up, that get you excited. So that way you are in your most high vibrational state, that you are most cared for by that. So if you, for example, don't like to exercise, that doesn't belong in your routine. Doesn't mean that you don't exercise. Of course it doesn't. You exercise, but that's not part of your routine because you don't love it. The other thing is that your routine is not to be um, like locked forever. It's about locking it in and engaging with it. It's meant to change with what your needs are, change with what your desires are, change with the seasons, literally, changing with astrology, whatever resonates with you. It's never going to be the same because as you create and receive new information about yourself and what you desire, you hone this in. So my routine is not what it's always been. It's changing all the time. Um, so the first thing that's important is I start with what are three things that I'm grateful for. And I actually have two specific groups that I lead where I communicate this. The first thing I do every day, namaste, everyone, grand rising. What are three things that you're grateful for? I list my three things. My first thing that I'm grateful for every single day is that I'm alive because of my circumstances, and everything else flows from there. Starting my day in gratitude is critical based on what I've gone through. And I believe that starting the day in gratitude is valuable for anybody because it brings you from that space of what I don't have and what I lack to what I do have and what I desire and what's possible for me. And I think you can even just tell from hearing how that inflection, even my voice changes, my energy changes, even just expressing and saying that. Then I have like a practical thing, which is like my nasal spray, just basic care for myself of what I need for my on the medical side of things. And then I have this heating eye mask that is majestic, and I heat this up and I start creating my espresso. And while all this is happening, I pray and provide Reiki to my water and my mushroom supplement that I take every single day. And I thank them for all the things that it's giving me. And I thank those who provided it, who are unseen to me, and I send them love and light and Reiki if they choose to receive it on a soul level for that experience. And doing this is what enables me to ground. And you'll notice all these practices are about me grounding and giving myself the nutrients, the love that I need. So you're going to notice that's the big theme. Once,
Jamie,
yeah, yes,
quickly. So many people know Reiki. There's Reiki practitioners, in our community, but what does this look like just to kind of, demystify it for someone quickly? So when you say you're giving Reiki to your water and your mushroom supplement, can you just elaborate a little bit on how you do that?
100%. Thanks for pausing me. I lose myself sometimes. So Reiki is a no to light touch energy that is a universal energy channel that we all have access to. And I've simply trained as a Usui Holy Fire 3 Reiki master to master how to utilize this energy. And so there are particular symbols that get activated within a person, and then we are able to, with intention, channel this energy into anything. And this can go to humans, to animals, to our water, to our supplements, to our pillow, to a situation. If you are very practical, if you are feeling nervous about writing emails because there's some tension in your professional life, receiving and sending Reiki and setting intention to have smooth communications, that whatever is being received in these communications is for the highest and best good of the situation and for everyone, can help you to calm, to help you to center, to help you to provide the information and have it be as smooth as possible. And so by doing this with my water and my mushroom supplement and later my espresso and later my cannabis spirit, these are all spirits that I'm communicating with. I'm asking for support and I want to provide support. And I want to provide a higher layer of support and I want to receive a higher layer of support. So to me, I am thanking water for hydrating my body so that way I no longer have physical pain. That I am thanking it for my ascension, for giving downloads and information. Water holds memory. We know this scientifically and spiritually now. This has been proven. So I am setting intention into that water so that way when I'm drinking that water, I am drinking in that wisdom. I'm asking, thank you for clearing and cleansing and purifying me. To the mushroom spirit, thank you for your ancient wisdom. Thank you for relieving me of the inflammation in my body, for strengthening my mind, for strengthening my gut, for strengthening my immune system and my nervous system. And by setting all of this in, I believe that I am truly bringing in and manifesting that intention. It's one of my inspired actions that helps me to feel closer to these spirits and therefore closer to myself. Does that make sense?
That's
How'd I
beautiful.
do?
Thanks for sharing. Yeah. Oh, amazing.
Awesome. Um, so that is a really big part of my experience. Um, and then once I've got that heated mask on, I go back into bed and usually, or I sit here in my healing space and I meditate for at least 10 minutes. Right now, I am obsessed with Shaman Durek's Lit Vibe meditation app. I seriously can't recommend it enough. I'm not paid to say this. I just truly love it and I love him. And it has many different types of activations and different themes. So you can do like an abundance meditation, you can do an angel light, light meditation activation, all these kinds of things. And so I allow myself that. Usually, my cats are surrounding me and sucking up all of that lower vibration for me while that's happening. And purr purr purr, and I'm petting them, and it's just a whole love fest.
Jamie,
After
quickly. So it was Shaman Derek's
Lit Vibe
Ezra asked,
meditation app.
lit vibe.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
it is the Lit Vibe meditation app. It's his new baby. He released this, I want to say like 2 months, 2.5, 3 months ago. And he's actively adding new things every week. And there's a whole community. You can even engage with the community there. I love it. I love it. Highly recommend.
Cool.
Um, Okay, so then I dive into other types of practices, things that we talk about in spirit all the time. So one of the things is affirmations. I love the I Am app. The I Am app is one where you can customize affirmations for yourself, or you can click off. Yes, I love it. Even Zoom gets it. You can click off all the different affirmations, sort of topics that you love. You can even change your background on it to really make it yours. And I specifically swipe through 3 times. I'm a life path 3. The number 3 has been massive in my life. It's a number of manifestation. I'm a big fan and resonator of numerology. And through that, I really sit and speak these affirmations into myself 3 times. And I also have my affirmations pop up throughout the day. So that way I get little reminders, which are always great when you're in a moment of frustration. That pops up, brings me right back to my center. Then I dive into astrology. I have various emails and various things that I like to read up on what the astrology is, having to do with my rising, my moon, and my sun sign, and even more. And I'm also just kind of studying astrology a little bit more. I feel like I'm still a fetus in terms of learning how much there truly is there. And then I will say this is like a very not spiritual and totally practical thing, which is that when it's in season, my family has a fun commitment that all of us add ourselves into the sweepstakes of the HGTV Dream Home. Right now, there's one happening, so I enter that every single day because just why not? It's just a fun little thing, and I kind of feel like closer to my family because I know that we're all doing this. We're all committed to this, so I love that.
That's awesome.
And at that point, I connect with the espresso spirit and usually chug a protein bar in my vessel at that point. And at that point, I pray to my altars that are here. I light all of the candles that are in my room. I sage myself, cleanse my energy, cleanse the energy of the space, cleanse my cat's energy. I have many different deities and entities. I really don't have one sole place that I connect to.
Mhm.
Just whatever comes through. It's not even anything really that I've been taught. It's just guides that come to me, and I'm like, oh, you're new. Oh, that's a new angel. Oh, that's a new deity from that part of the world that I've never visited. It's just all about remembrance. I journal. Journaling is heavy right now in my routine. I journal twice a day. That's part of my evening routine as well. Allows me to empty out my brain thoughts. Sometimes it ends up just being pure affirmations. Sometimes it ends up being what's happening in my day. Today, I spent almost my whole time writing about how excited I was that my day is filled with In Spirit today. I have even after this another call with an In Spirit member. So excited. And from that point, I call in Reiki, and then I engage with plant spirit because cannabis is part of what saved my life, and it helps me to get into my heart center for those who know cannabis spirit well, it is a heart opener and activator. So, of course, being a spirit of unconditional love, this is one that I resonate with and helps me a lot with the pains and things that I still deal with on a practical 3D meat suit level, having to do with my health journey, which is still present and still something that I'm navigating as someone who experiences dis-ease within, Lyme's disease and the autoimmune world that I'm still navigating.
Yeah.
Um, and
Jamie,
go ahead.
do you mind taking us through your ritual with cannabis a little bit?
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, no, I don't mind, and yes, I'd love to. So, yes, my connection with plant spirit typically happens when I can commit to it and when necessary, every 2 to 3 hours. This is because this is what I have found my endocannabinoid system requires of me in order to be in balance. So I am not utilizing cannabis for like that for just for funsies, which there's nothing wrong with it. Cannabis is a very fun spirit, and I find laughter to be incredible medicine, and it's something that brings and opens up to fun things, and I'm certainly one to sit and engage with plant spirit and then watch a fun movie or go do something fun. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, what's a discernment for me is that I'm incredibly intentional. I talk to that plant spirit to very specific things that I desire, things that I know that the plant spirit will provide me, such as allowing to open up my heart chakra, to allow me to see new perspectives, to allow me to be a better listener, to allow me to be free of pain. So if I'm, say, for example, if I was having a couple of days of headaches, so I was asking, like, please help to relieve the tension, allow me to see whatever it is that I'm not seeing, to relieve this pressure and this tension from my headaches. Um, I really, really ask for that support. I think that a lot of times we can forget very easily that these are guides that are here to help us, but we have to ask for that help. We have to give permission. And the permission starts within ourselves, but it also is a connection. I literally feel whenever I communicate with plant spirit as if some form of a being is before me and I'm looking at this sort of reflection and engaging with it. I make sure that I ask for the balance because that's what I'm asking for. We all have an endocannabinoid system, which is this massive system in our body that controls and lends to controlling of all of the other bigger systems in our body. Our fur friends have this as well. Insects don't have it, but otherwise, if you're a mammal on this earth, you have an endocannabinoid system that's looking to be balanced, and some of ours are imbalanced, and some of ours are not, and mine was not. And so, being able to connect with plant spirit has enabled me closer and closer to balance. And I learned so much. It enables me to connect in ways to spirit and receive information to find myself calm. I'm neurodivergent. I'm an adult with autism and learning more about that every day. And so, being someone whose mind, especially as a manifesting generator, just never stops giving me ideas, I see you. It helps me to slow down a little bit, slow down just enough to be able to catch up and to be present. So it it quite literally is a communication. I
Hmm.
quite literally take whatever form of plant spirit. Usually, I really like to engage with flower as much as possible and go in nature. And I get into prayer form, and I like to have it between my hands, or at least in my lap, somewhere close to me. And I really set the intention. I get quiet. I shut out everything else. I do my communication. I send Reiki, and I also ask for permission from the plant. I ask permission to engage with it. I ask permission to consume it to make sure that it's in alignment. I make sure that I'm getting permission to provide it Reiki and understanding this is its own consciousness, its own experience, and we co-collaborate. And then I ingest or consume however much is really necessary for me. Usually, depending on what this is, so if it's a vape, it looks usually like 3 puffs because that's more potent. If it's flower, it's usually like half a joint or a joint. It's whatever I feel I need. I listen to when the spirit tells me to stop. And then after that point, I focus on the integration. And while I'm allowing it to sink in and I'm like, okay, what am I paying attention to? How does this feel differently? How am I setting these intentions? If it's before a client, for example, or with a client, I have a client, for example, who very much likes to go through this process with me, and we've made it an ingrained part of the coaching and healing process with every session. It's how we begin. And I make sure to call in my team and also invite their team and invite their connection. And then I'm asking for the spirit to help me to support them. But I always ask for me first. I am always number one because I believe that we are all one. And if I'm not my number one, then I'm not walking my walk and I can't show up and I can't anticipate or provide or elevate or support or inspire anybody to do the same. So
Yep.
that's a little bit about my process.
Woo, love it, Jamie. Beautiful. You said so many very wise things in there. I want to just prompt everyone at this point, in case anyone has any questions. There's been some amazing comments, questions in the chat. So I just want to quickly prompt everyone. If you want to come up, I'll pop you up on the screen, say something to Jamie, ask a question, reflect something back. Everything is cool. It's a really relaxed, chill, safe space. So I'll just prompt here. I'm gonna pop us to the gallery view just for a second. Boom, just to see how everyone's grooving along. And yeah, Jamie, you've shared okay, so boom, we've got Ezra. Awesome. Thank you, Ezra. So I'm gonna pop Ezra up. Boom, Jamie, and I will let you guys go. And nice to meet you, Ezra, in the flesh. Ezra just
Oh,
joined yesterday or today.
Oh my God! Welcome as a honorary member of the Welcome Committee and in spirit. I love you unconditionally and I welcome you. We're so lucky to have you here. How can I support you?
I appreciate that deeply. Thank you. It's fantastic. I've been looking for a community like this for a while, and I happen to be managing communities at school, and I saw it when I was searching. So, so far so good. It sounds like you know a lot about the plant medicine of cannabis. Um, I have a difficulty whenever I smoke it. It makes me very paranoid, and it's usually most strains. Occasionally, it I will find a strain that doesn't affect me like that, but I also have to limit like maybe just one puff. Um, I don't know if that's my body physical reaction to it, kind of saying, hey, you enjoyed this for many years, many decades, but it's no longer for you. Um, but I do enjoy what it can bring me in my spiritual practice, as well as just enjoying it in nature. Is there anything that I could do to avoid that? Or I know with edibles, I don't experience this, so I'm just curious if you have any experience with this.
Oh, I love this question, Ezra. First of all, thank you for your vulnerability and for sharing. I actually went through this, so I can speak directly to this because this is no longer what happens for me. So here are some of the things that I've learned. Number one is that remembering the endocannabinoid system does not only necessarily want THC, right? It may not even want THC. This plant has over 100 cannabinoids that we have now found. I'm certainly not an expert on all of them. No one, I don't think, is yet. We're still learning so much, but CBD, THC, and CBG are 3 cannabinoids of the plant that I balance within myself, because one of the things that I found was sometimes the potency was too high, or that I really didn't need that much of that cannabinoid, and it would bring me into this sort of extreme place of discomfort. But here's the thing: the number one thing that I've realized is that it's kind of got nothing to do with the plant, and this is definitely a controversial statement, and I'm okay with that. My perspective is that it has nothing to do with the plant. It has everything to do with our body and with our mind. So the cannabis is not going to be a spirit that is just going to come in and heal things for you. There is no one-stop shop. There is no one puff that you can do that is going to eternally resolve for anxiety or paranoia or anything that we're going through. And that goes for anything. A lot of people want me to tell them this one magic thing that I did that helped me to wake in and to find balance and to get out of burnout. And I can't tell you that. It would be lying to you. The truth is that it's many things. So looking at cannabis as a helper and a collaborator enables you to take that much more accountability and integrity of what is happening when you are ingesting it. Setting the intention has been paramount for me. If you don't, it's to me, it's no different than like if you're taking mushrooms and you don't set any intentions and you're not mindful of what's around you. And, you know, I take it as seriously as any other plant spirit. And I really make sure that my setting is right. I really make sure that who's around me is right. I really make sure that I am clear on why I am doing this. And then I don't control. I put myself in a space of listening and receiving. If you are coming into a space of paranoia, it could in part be that your endocannabinoid system is oversaturated from THC. It could also be that there's things deep within you that the plant spirit is showing you, and you are having a strong anxiety reaction that is showing up for you as paranoia. This is not forever. The ways to handle it, number one, try to balance with other cannabinoids that are non-psychoactive, such as CBD and CBG, and see how that helps. When we have these in an equal balance, they often feed each other and get even stronger. So you might actually have a more balanced and stronger experience, especially within your spiritual practices you said that you like to use it in terms of feeling better now immediately, scaling back, taking notes on how you're experiencing each of the strains and what's going on for you. I spent years, probably 2 to 3 years, being very intentional about writing down what was my pain level, what was my mood, what is the strain, where am I, who's around, what's happening in my life. It's practical, it's analytical, it's honestly pretty tedious and annoying, but holy cow, was it worth it? Because now I know exactly what strains help me. I know exactly what my limits are. I know exactly how to listen to this plant. And I started to ease my way back in, and now I no longer have this paranoia. Occasionally, I will have something and I will feel my anxiety rise, but now I look at it different. And I don't say, oh man, I can't have this plant anymore. This spirit is totally like, it's over. A lot of people freak out to me. They say, well, I love this plant. I love all of this stuff. I feel like it's helping me, and suddenly it's not anymore. And they don't want to let it go. Can't control it. You don't own it. It's a free spirit just like you. So you're collaborating and you communicate it with it as a collaborator, you'll find yourself coming back to balance. Does this make sense?
Jamie, amazing. So much wisdom in there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jamie, for that.
Thanks, Ezra, for a great question. Jamie, do you mind if I share a bit of insight on that too?
Please.
Cool. Ezra, yeah, I work with cannabis a lot. And so a few things. So one, I think right away you identified something really important, which is that, you know, the like mode of delivery is really important in terms of the effects. Of course, you don't get this with edibles, right? When we're smoking, if we look at it from an Ayurvedic perspective, we're bringing in a lot of like smoke is literally air and fire, right? So we're bringing in a lot of like vata and pitta, which is a very like stimulating energy, right? And so there's a few things. Like one is like breath with cannabis, I find is really, really, really important. Even in a smoked format, like if I just smoke it and I don't work with the, you know, experience and the energy in my body with breath, then it doesn't like move through my system properly. And I end up more with that like it stimulates the crown chakra. So Jamie, I know you said the heart. Cannabis from an astrology perspective is ruled by Saturn. So Saturn rules the crown chakra actually. And so if we're coming in a very stimulated state and we're not down regulating our nervous system before we take the toke, right? Even if it's just one, right? Then we're doing an air fire kind of stimulating vata, pitta, like this stimulatory kind of energy. We're just like ramping up our crown chakra. And many of us drink coffee, many of us are on the computer a lot, many of us are hardworking people as it is. So we're already like overstimulated. And then when we come to cannabis, if we haven't taken the time to like bring our nervous system down before we jump in, then that can create a lot of that paranoia and that like anxious type of energy. And I find like it's like taking one toke and then doing like really deep, just like down regulation breathing, like in through your nose and then like really slow out and just like trying to feel everything in through your nose again, really slow out. And like it moves through your body in that way and you become more grounded. And then you see if you want to take more and that type of thing. So that's one thing. The other I would say is the terpenes are really important in the stimulatory effects. So if I think you're in Portugal, so there's quite a good, like pretty legal scene or borderline, or I don't know what it is. So I think there's probably good information on some of the products too, and you can search the strains as you know. So limonene, if you see limonene in the cannabis, that's going to be a lot more stimulatory, and it goes beyond sativa indica, right? Like it's more the terpene. So limonene is very, I find if there's a lot of limonene in the cannabis, like for me, I have like a high vata pitta constitution. So I just know that about myself. And if I go with something that has a lot of limonene, it doesn't jive well with my system unless I did like a tremendous amount of breathing with it and stuff like that, right? Good terpenes to look for if you're looking for more of a calming, grounding thing. Sure, indica, but beyond indica, it's like looking at, is there caryophyllene? So there's two, there's alpha caryophyllene and beta caryophyllene. They both help to give this like calming effect. Linalool, that's another one to look for if there's linalool, right? And then yeah, Jamie, what you said about CBD, CBG, CBN, and stuff like that. So anyway, those are some tips if you do enjoy the like smoking format, and because there is something nice about the instantaneousness of it, and then being able to like have these experiences in nature and stuff like that. But yeah, so anyway, that's just a bit of insight. I'll let you take it from here, Jamie. I just wanted to pop in because it's an important question and a lot of people struggle with it. So
can I
yeah.
add like a very simple realization I had when you were
Oops.
saying that?
Yeah. Yep. Please.
So like I think probably most people can relate to being in that same boat with like ritual or routine cannabis users. And what's funny about that is I've certainly been there without knowing that, Jake, that actually calming myself before I engage is the way, because I was always like, I'm not calm, I'm going to engage to get calm, right? Like that was my purpose of engaging, and to know that that's actually making my current state more amplified versus the desire I want, that was like mind blowing to me. So thank you for sharing that.
Welcome. Yeah, it's huge, right? One thing that I try to remember is, are we being carried by the medicine or are we carrying the medicine? And it's okay to be carried by the medicine, right? But these are teachers, and the goal ultimately is like, how do we, embody the teaching ourselves so that, but again, there's nothing wrong with like Jamie saying, feeding your endocannabinoid system, and people have different needs, right? But that's just something that resonates a lot. So, all right, good thing. I'm not surprised this all came through, Jamie. So let's see, I'm gonna pop you back up here. Thanks to everyone for the great questions. Are there any other questions? Like, I'm sure you have more to share, Jamie, on your practice, so we can do that. But like, the questions are always fun, right? And the community vibe. So does anyone else have any questions for Jamie about anything at all?
I do.
Yeah. Okay, boom. Let's bring Quinnen up.
Okay. So I want to take it back to the unconditional love. So I know whenever I've worked with people in a healing capacity, it's always been essential that I find something to love about them, even if I don't like them. So I'm totally with that. I also have extremely strong boundaries in my life, like very, very healthy, strong boundaries. So what I'm wondering is, how do you balance out unconditional love and the boundaries of protecting yourself? Because you can give unconditional love to everybody around you, but some of those people are going to be very toxic people towards you. So yeah, what boundaries, unconditional love, how do you make them work together?
I love this question. It's having them. The boundaries are unconditional love, because by having healthy boundaries, you are showing yourself unconditional love, and then you are able to mirror that within others. I love what you said, because it's exactly what I tell people. I can love you and I don't have to like you, and I don't have to like your behavior. That's the big thing, because that's often when we are telling people that we don't like them, it's not actually usually them, it's their behavior that we don't like. And we automatically say your behavior is you. And that, I mean, we could write a book and have that whole conversation another day. But when it comes to merging these together, you can love from afar. There are a lot of people. I have actually dropped more people from my life, or frankly, the universe has blessed me and removed people from my life, the more that I've come into my unconditional love.
Hmm.
I don't let everyone and everything in. I even have boundaries with spirit. I have a lot of boundaries with spirit. I'm like, whoa, you are giving me way too much information and I can't sleep. Like the other night I was mad because spirit like was giving me this huge download literally as I was hitting the pillow, and then I couldn't sleep for hours, and then I was exhausted the next day because I was out of balance within my sleep. And so I said, spirit, no more of this, no mas. Like, you've got to tell me the things that you want me to know in my waking hours. When it comes to having boundaries with others, they don't need to like them. That's not what it's about. Boundaries are not about compromise. Boundaries are not negotiable. Boundaries are what are necessary. If we look at it from the neutral state, if we come to the unconditional love neutral state, boundaries are not bad, boundaries are not good. People are not bad, people are not good. All of these things are in a spectrum, and it's about how we want to play and balance within that spectrum. I've come to find myself spending more time in places and spaces like here right now that light me up, where I can feel freer in my boundaries because I know and trust that they're going to be honored, supported, and respected here. So I can, hi, Comet. I can be, that's Tessa's dog. We have a bond. I can be present with all of it and allow for it. Whereas if I'm with family, I love my family unconditionally, but my family, we don't have this shared experience, and they're respectfully not the best that they could be within their boundaries. That doesn't mean I'm better than them because I have healthy boundaries. It just means I've come to a space where I've cultivated healthy boundaries. So when I'm with them, my boundaries are much tighter. I'm more thoughtful of what I share. I'm more thoughtful of how much time I spend with them. I practice love from afar. The people that have left from my life, well, there are some that I care very much for them. I want them to be well as a human being. I am grateful to them. Like I'll be bold and I'll take one of the most controversial people on this planet right now in existence of our collective, and that's Donald Trump, right? I don't have to love what Donald Trump does. I don't need to like him as a person. I don't need to agree with him. I appreciate that that's not me. It's the larger me within all of me, but I don't have to live that. I don't have to wake up every day and feel hated by half the world. I get to wake up every day and feel love. There are people that have, whatever issues with me because I'm trans or whatever else, but I can hold that boundary. I don't have to be attached to him. I can honor the fact that he's a part of this collective, and therefore I love him unconditionally, because otherwise I'm not loving myself. That's my perspective and opinion and my belief around that. And that's how I personally go through it. I'm not saying it's the right way or the best way. I'm just saying it's the
Interesting.
way
Good.
that gets me through.
Yeah. No, it's a great answer to my question. Thank you.
You're so
Great
welcome.
question,
Thank you for
Quinn.
that question.
Yeah, lovely answer, Jamie. It reminded me of something that I said to you once on a call, and then you were like, whoa. And it's like, love is unconditional, but relationships are conditional by their very nature, right? Even in nature, atoms, molecules, things that resonate together, stay together. But if there's not a reciprocal exchange of energy, then they don't, right? So this has been so full of wisdom. So we're like up on time, but we can keep rolling. But I just want to prompt and say thank you to everyone who's joined in case, you're going to jump or anything like that. And thank you so much to Jamie. We're still going to, conclude with our normal, couple questions and stuff like that for Jamie. I'm okay. I don't have a hard stop, so I'll keep going. And are you okay, Jamie? Yeah. Yeah. But
Yes,
I
I'd
wanted
love to give an
like,
activation also.
okay, cool. But I wanted to just, so anyone stick around if you want, but there's no pressure, right? We're concluding here, and I thank everyone for coming and helping to see Jamie and hold space here and ask great questions and everything. So thank you so much to everyone. All right, so in terms of, so you want to do an activation, Jamie? Let's do that. But first, I'm going to ask you just the two questions that I typically ask, right? So the first one is, you've been so amazing, right, to InSpirit. You are so amazing to InSpirit all the time. What can we do? You give us so much, right? What can we do more for you? How can InSpirit help you more? How can all of us help you more in your path?
I would say it's starting to happen, but to be more forward about it and spell it out, help me get myself out there. Help me to be seen, because I can only do what I can do if people know I exist. And that has been the most challenging thing and the most confusing thing, to be the one who feels ready to be seen, who puts myself out there, who's vulnerable and not afraid to say all the things. And yet, I know that I'm powerful in what I provide, and I'm ready to do that. But I need help for people to see me having people take the self-love audit. My goal is by the end of 2024 to have 100 people who have done it. I think we're up to like 44, something like that. 44, 45.
Amazing.
So yeah, that would be the big things.
So Jamie has something called a love audit, right? Which you've offered to the community in the exchange section. So anyone feel free to take Jamie up on that. That would help him, doing more of these, getting towards his goal. And let's all challenge ourselves to think about how InSpirit can become more of a platform to help to kind of raise up the next generation of, conscious professionals, spiritual entrepreneurs, whatever you identify with. I really am seeing this space become almost like an incubator, like a launch pad. And I want it to behave that way for people. So if anyone has ideas along that vein, that would help me. And then, that will help InSpirit, to develop in this way so that we can help people be seen more, even outside of it InSpirit as well. Right. And one way we could do that is, sharing some of the content that we generate in here, right? Because I'm sitting on like a swath of incredible video footage and clips that I've edited and things like that, right? And I only have so much time and energy as one person, so I'm actively looking for people also to help with this in terms of getting content out, kind of leading the LinkedIn, the company page, on LinkedIn, other social media channels, YouTube, if we have YouTube people in the house, stuff like that, right? So yeah, let's all, co-create, band together. So Ezra, thanks for saying that you'd be down to help with some of this. So that's awesome. I need to put more posts on InSpirit just to ask for more volunteers too. So that's something that I think could help this to grow in this way, to help with what you're asking for here, Jamie. So thank you. The other question I want to ask is, what would be your challenge to everyone? So, offering and inviting people to, grow, to be courageous. What would be the challenge that you have for the rest of the community, people watching this?
Oh, this excites me. Thank you. Okay, my loving challenge to you is more of an invitation that the very next moment that you feel resistance to doing something that is for you because you're ready to make every excuse in the book of whatever it is that you need to get done, that you have a little Jamie in your mind telling you to pardon my French, fuck it and do it anyway, to do it for you, to really, really make the effort to choose you. And then I encourage you to journal on your experience, journal on what happened. Like, because number one, I can pretty much guarantee you that the world didn't end by you doing this. The world did not end. Your business did not fall apart. No one is going to be harmed by you putting in love to yourself, because you're not taking from anybody by doing that. You're actually giving to them by giving to yourself.
Love it.
And with that.
So we're going to call it the fuck it challenge from Jamie, the unconditionally loving fuck it challenge. Okay, cool. And thanks so much for that. So you wanted to give an activation. So let's roll into the activation part here. And again, thanks to everyone who's sticking around. And again, no pressure if you do have to get going or anything, of course, right? This has been awesome. All right, let's do it, Jamie. Guide us through.
Amazing. Yeah, I just want to also say thank you to everyone, and thank you to Jake for this opportunity and for having this space. It means everything, truly, to me. I feel at home. I'm here for the long haul. You've got me in your corner. I believe in your capacity to love unconditionally. I know that you are worthy of unconditional love. I know that you are capable of receiving and cultivating this for yourself and spreading it. And I will spend the rest of my lifetime, and probably whatever other lifetimes that are necessary, in doing whatever I can to do that. So if you need support in that, please find me. I'm here to love you. And I love each and every one of you. The activation that we're going to do is going to be probably brief, because I want to honor everyone's time. Bring in Reiki, which you can choose to receive or not. All you need to do is decide. That's it. You need to decide, I'm ready to receive this. Within this, I'm also going to give a light language activation. So light language is not something that a lot of people know about, but it's quickly becoming something that people are understanding. Some who come from a more religious experience may know this as, or refer to this as sort of speaking in tongues. For me, light language got activated in Clubhouse in the very early pandemic days. And I did not even remotely realize how freeing, fulfilling, and healing this could be. Essentially, light language are forgotten or unknown languages that are typically galactic and ancient in origin. This could even look like someone, for example, who doesn't speak even, say, Spanish, and then suddenly they can speak in fluent Spanish. I was like just reading an article about someone who could suddenly speak Spanish yesterday. And I think that these are these activations and remembrances. And those are what a lot of these things do. These languages, these tones, these hand gestures, if you leave your eyes open, though, I'll encourage you to close them as long as you're not moving heavy machinery or driving. You'll be able to see that I'm doing all sorts of things. Ultimately, what I'm doing is I'm moving energy, and I'm utilizing light and sound and frequencies to do this. And you have the capacity to release any expectation or need to understand whatever is happening. You are going to receive whatever is necessary and perfect for you, and allow yourself, you may feel some tingling, some warming sensations, or cold and cooling sensations. You may have flashes of memory, visual, smells. It's going to activate your clair senses in one way or another. You may decide that you feel nothing, and that is okay. That is still feeling something in my book is to feel nothing. The neutral space is often something of nothingness or everything. And so that might be an experience as well. Traditionally, I tend to give some form of English translation within of whatever the means of what I said, and that may come through, but ultimately, let's just see what happens. And I'm going to set the intention for the highest good for everyone here and anyone who receives this at whatever point, that you can come back to this as many times as you need to, that this is for you, and take what resonates and leave the rest and have a good time. Now, close your eyes and get comfortable. Take a couple of slow, deep breaths. I'm going to do the same. If you're choosing to receive this Reiki, then you can choose to receive that. Just choose. And we're going to see what comes through. Omne tareshterene, urum tushtanaya, mariate emushtanane, adwestenea, emete runyamete, anyashte emnatene, urum neratene ashtana, angurete amnenea. Umaninete. Aranyaneshtaneyamne, Urumnea, Urumneane Aramne, Etene Shanea. Between these two worlds, we can envision ourselves as a pinpoint in time, in a frequency ever waving, ever sharing, ever being. In the eternal greatness, we find ourselves rebirthing of our sacred womb as we really reinstill new thoughts, as we reprogram from new experiences. In this new way of being, we discover new possibilities. We vibe with the hope and of the freedom that is desired from our ancestors, who are chanting and cheering from our galactic guides, who are shining and shimmering down and around us as Gaia carries us forward. And we carry forward our true purpose and our true passion and our mission. From our deep understanding, we come into understanding. And from this space, we join the overstanding that is the greatness of our collective and all that is. You have the freedom to share, the freedom to be, and the freedom to receive as you co-create from your divine oneness in the highest vibration of all. So it shall be. Namaste. Take a deep, slow breath from your belly and blow it out as if you are blowing out into a candle, releasing all that no longer serves you, releasing all of the parts of you that are no longer in your highest good or the highest good of the collective. And from this moment forward, be from this space, be from who you are now, and trust that that is enough, that you are enough, and you will always be enough in each and every moment as you are reborn anew from this egg. We find ourselves in this space that is so sacred, and it is so yours, and it is so loving. You will always be able to come back to this space and to this transmission to receive whatever is here for you in this reminder that you belong. I invite you to rub your hands, creating some warmth and placing them over your eyes, reminding yourself that as you uncover and you open your eyes within your hands, that though it may be perceived that you come from this darkness, that it is a reflection of the light that is always within you. And as you remove them, you come back to a complete soul presence where the wholeness of who you are is here. There is a complete soul recall of everyone who is here, a complete soul recall in wholeness and light in the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. And as you receive these frequencies, release the expectation to understand or know, and trust that you're getting whatever is here for you. It has been a deep honor to become and to be with this family, to share in the time and the space with you, to be received and to be seen in a way that I have dreamed about, and it is real now. And we all get to share that together. Thanks to each and every one of you and our dear brother, Jake, in the jungle. I thank you all, and I hope that you enjoyed this. Namaste.
Oof, Jamie, beautiful. We may have to promote you to Chief Jaguar as well for all your courage and, you know, sharing the depth of yourself with us here. So thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for joining. Thank you, Jamie. And we will see all of you guys on the inside. Peace.